Speaker off. Cool. So, funny enough, we should not be able to have any audio there. All right. Check, check. Why
I
is it
got you. I can
doing
hear
that?
you in 17 different places.
Yeah. Can anybody else hear a reverb? No, we good. Sweet. Let's. All right, we're gonna give her a go.
All right, let's do it.
All right, my man. Well, dude, appreciate everybody joining. If you guys don't know, this is Will Jerome. He is one of our business collaborators with the Full Time Fit Coach.
What's going on,
Um,
everybody?
dude's a wizard when it comes to really helping coaches scale and grow. Um, perfect. Thank you so much. That was so smart, Baker. Just turn the volume down. How about that?
There we
Um,
go.
so looking forward to diving in with him. So he works a lot on the front end. We work a lot on the back end. And man, I'm excited to have multiple of these fitness business coaches in one space. Obviously, that's like the first time that's happened,
Yeah.
right? So we're excited to dive into that. And Will's basically got some questions today that we're going to roll through, and I'll let you basically like have those. But our objective here is just have some conversation, throw out some valuable tips, some things that we could think about, some stuff that we'll probably cover deeper inside the event as well. But hey, man, it's Friday. Let's have some fun. Let's get it.
Let's do it. All right. Sweet. Do you want me to open up with some of the questions? I just kind of compiled like the top 10 questions we found from our community over the past year. Do you want me to start rapid firing them off? We can kind of go back and forth on them.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. All right. Number one question we got was, should I run ads for my online coaching business?
So I think yes. I just think it's a matter of time before you get started. I think the biggest mistake people think is that I'm going to run ads and it's going to grow my business. I literally just posted an Instagram reel today that said ads doesn't make the business, the funnel makes the business, because anybody can run an ad, but that doesn't mean you're going to get clients. And so it's really important to optimize the funnel because the ads really just the piece of content. And I said this, if you can post on Instagram right now and say, hey, I'm looking for 5 people to work with me, and that doesn't work with a trusted, warm audience, then why do you think doing that in ads going to work? Right. So it's really about the funnel once you get the person to listen to you to then get them to cross the finish line. What about you?
Yeah. I think I would say number one, it's when, not if. Like you should be running ads, but there's different buckets. The way that we categorize it in our business is 0 to 8K, no ads. Do it organically. You should have an offer that's proven, and it'll prove itself organically. If it doesn't, you're going to be one of these coaches who goes and you spend 2 or 3K on ads, and then you hate them because some marketer convinced you to do it. Your product doesn't sell because your content isn't that
Yeah.
good, and you're like, oh, ads don't work. They do. And then bucket number one is like if you want to go from like 8,000 a month to 15 to 20K per month, follower ads, like simpler follower ad funnel, way easier. In ads, the world of ads, like cost to acquire customers, everything, and cost per result is the
Mm,
first kind of cost you run into. If you run a normal ad, it's going to cost you $10 to $15 to get someone to talk to you. You run a follower ad, $1 to $2. So it's the easiest way to buy your way in. That'll get you to 20K. And then from 20K all the way to 100K plus, you can run lead form ads or DM ads on Instagram, and you just have a simple tracker. People really overcomplicate it. They try to get too fancy with it. But I think it's a matter of if not when. And if you know what to track and when to start doing these, it makes it a whole lot less scarier. And it also lets you know, okay, it's normal to spend this much and see this much come back or not see this much come back. But if you just go in blind without guidance, it's a really easy way to just blow a lot of your money.
I like that. All right. What's the second question we got?
All right. This is a really good one. What should I charge for online fitness coaching?
What should I charge for online fitness coaching? I think the basement, if you're doing any type of one-to-one, which means custom programming, custom nutrition, or any type of communication with the client, My opinion, 250 to $300 a month is usually like the entry in, and then from there you can scale it up. I don't think anything below it is wise, and this is why I say that. If you're having the close one-on-one coaching, it's always over the phone. Like it always is going to be that way. Otherwise, it's really like a low ticket product. But if you're trying to stay in the high ticket, when you don't charge enough money, what actually ends up happening is that a person doesn't adhere to the program because it costs the same price as Chipotle and a movie ticket for you and your girlfriend. And so you want me to change my life for the price of like a mediocre date. And so with that being said, it's like it doesn't hurt enough. And when it doesn't hurt, you don't adhere. And when you don't adhere, you don't get good testimony, you don't get results, you don't get um good before and afters, which means you get somebody saying you suck because no one ever is going to say they suck and they didn't follow the program, right? So you get bad word of mouth, you get no testimonials, and you get a little bit of money. And so the more you charge, the better results, the better adherence to the program, the better pictures you get to use, the more money you're going to make. So it's kind of a win-win-win across the board.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think too, it's especially in today's day and age, there's so many different mechanisms you can use to do like buy now, pay later options that a lot of coaches will utilize to help them get in to a higher ticket position. Anything that you're charging below 250, it goes into kind of a low ticket product space, like you said, and that attracts a different quality of customer. And there's nothing wrong with charging low ticket as long as fulfillment matches up with that. If you're giving a high ticket service away for a low ticket value, you're just setting yourself up to essentially cap yourself way, you'll be capped at $5,000 a month with the amount of work you're having to put in if you just price things correctly. And so if you're scared to go high ticket at first and you're more willing to take a longer route to high ticket coaching, you can start with low ticket products and create a buyer's list. And this is another question that'll come up, I think, a little bit later, is talking about email. But being able to create a buyer list, get people on your email, be able to get them to swipe their credit card that first time, it can be a really useful way to start to segment your following into buyers and followers, and makes it easier because the initial cost isn't a $2,000 coaching package. It's a $20 ebook, a $200 program.
Yep. The low ticket funnel.
Yeah. But if you're gonna go for high ticket coaching, you have to go for it. You have to create a product that can deliver on the promise and is worth that amount, and you have to stick to your guns. You actually have to charge it. I think starting at 250 is a great spot, and then working that up to closer to 500 a month, and then using things like Affirm, Klarna, some of these afterpay methods. It'll allow people to afford a program like this on a budget that works for them, and essentially buy their way into something that they really truly do need. You're not a snake oil salesman. You're selling health and fitness to people, and it's going to change their lives, but you're making it affordable for them. And then for you, you no longer have to be the bank. You can deliver the service and get paid up front for it. It makes it feel energetically really good for you, your bank, and your customer.
So I think one thing to consider here, right? And this is, let's just spitball for a second. So I tell a lot of coaches that are doing over like 10K that I think they should start to shy away from Affirm to build a reoccurring business model.
Yeah.
And I think it really boils down to two things when it comes to making that decision. If somebody buys a 6-month program on Affirm, they're not going to re-sign in 6 months because they're still making payments on that program. And they're not going to make 2 payments on the program. And so if they're going to Affirm, you have to sell more than your average lifetime value of customers that you normally have. So don't Affirm something for $900, but the average subscriber pays you $1,200 because you just shot yourself in the foot. And so I always try to make these decisions based on where's your cash flow. If you're collecting cash but not using it to grow the company, then you technically don't need it. And so don't try to make more money now and lose money later when you're not growing with that capital. So if you're going to spend 10% of your money into ads, let's say, right, and you're constantly trying to grow, which means you're going to spend more and more money each month, then you're going to use that capital to continue to grow the company, which means that if you only did reoccurring, it becomes a slow process because you're not able to use that capital to grow the business. But I am a very big advocate of creating a model to where at some point you want to start building a residual income because, like my company, for example, like at 100K MMR, like I can take a vacation and not take any sales calls and I still make the same money. If I had said only thing in PIFs, if I take off, I didn't make 25% of the money I was supposed to make because I was gone for 7 days. And so those are the catch 22s when it comes to creating those things. So I think a firm's really great in the beginning, or when you get to the point where you're spending money on ads. But if you're like in the middle, it's like difficult. If you're doing 10K and you're not spending money on ads, I wouldn't be doing a firm. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I've got a really good, like we have 2 case studies on this right now. I've got 2 coaches in our upper level who've been with me for a year or 2 now, and they're kind of neck and neck. One's like, he did 46K this last month, and the other coach little ahead, he did like 65, 70K. One of them really big on a firm, right? Everything's through a firm, and it's feast or famine cycle. Other guy doesn't want to do it at all, just consistently has built his MRR. His MRR is like 40 of the 46K. And so you have this kind of, side by side comparison in real time. And what's interesting is it took the coach getting to 46K a little bit longer, much more stable business now. And he doesn't want to do the paid in fulls. He likes starting each month at 46 because then he knows, okay, next month I'll be at 60 and I'll start at 60. The following month I'll be at 80. Like I'll have a $1 million MRR business. It's the same thing when we start with beginner coaches. I'm like, you're not really a 10K coach until you're a 10K MRR coach, right? Because anyone can sell 2 big K.
Anybody can get lucky, right?
Yeah. Anybody can sell 2 giant PIFs in a month and be like, oh, I'm a 10K coach. And the next month do 3K again and be like, that's like your real run rate. So I think like you said, this is where you get into the nuances where there's no just right answer. And every marketer is going to tell you something different. But like, if you have a real coach, it's going to be like, it's gray area. It's what is your risk tolerance? And then what is the style of business you want to build? The guy who is doing, 60 to 80K per month right now and really pushing a firm, Klarna, the Afterpay options, hungry. Dude wants to do $1 million a month. Like that's his goal over the next 10 years is to get a coaching business to do $1 million a month. He wants to be like a John Madsen, like take over the globe, very aggressive. And so he is constantly in that sell, go cycle. And so he's never worried about, am I going to have lead flow or do I need to rely on my recurring? He's just like, I'll push it. And I want to collect the entire CLTV of my customer upfront and then deploy it into scaling my ad spend and growing my team to go faster. And so completely different mindset from the guy who's like, I like having a very consistent MRR. I'd like my re-sign rate to be 30% or higher every single time. I want to have a business where I go into the next month knowing a majority of my money is recurring and it's from a healthy customer base. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think there's pros and cons to both. Yeah. And then it comes down to how do you want to grow your business? There's no one way to $1 million business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coaches who will teach one way, but that's just maybe because that's the way they did it. Totally. The way that you build $1 million business is the way you hopefully want to have it. The last thing you want to do is end up in $1 million business you hate waking up to every day. Like if you woke up beginning of every month and you were like, I have $0 coming in, I have to make all 100K again this month, it might stress you out beyond means and you might hate it. Versus if you wake up and you have 100K MRR, it might not be as exciting as the feast or famine cycle of signing these big PIFs.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Sometimes you like lose the hunger, right?
Yeah.
Now there's one caveat that I want everybody to think about when they're like, I'm going to redump all my PIF money into ads. If you have assistant coaches, you have to pay those coaches.
Yeah.
So next month, if you stop doing ads and you stop growing and you don't have an income, you still have 12 months worth of PIFs that you've been selling that you have to fulfill. So don't think that I'm going to take all my money and dump it right back into the business because you have a product that you still have to fulfill, either you or somebody else. And so typically what happens is that you'll outspend the bank account because we're being so aggressive on the growth and you forget, oh, wait, I need to allocate $800 worth of assistant coaching money to the side to pay for that person. So you can't keep all the money on the side. But you just need to be aware that like just because you made the money doesn't mean it's free to spend, right? And also let's not forget Uncle Sam needs a piece too.
Yeah, I was going to say that is, I think you touched on it earlier. I think you just mentioned it in passing and a lot of people wouldn't catch it was you're like, oh, put 10% in back into ads. there's like rules to this. There's principles you
Mhm.
should abide by. Like there's a certain percentage of your top line revenue that you should put into ads. When someone asks, how much should I spend on ads? There's not a blanket answer. It's, you should spend this percentage of your revenue. And then as it grows, you can increase the overall amount you're spending, but the percentages should stay the same. And this kind of goes back to like understanding finances. You have to know your numbers if you're going to grow a business. And
Yeah.
if you're just scrambling to make your first 5K or hit that first 10K month, like it's not as important as maybe just grinding DMs and working really hard on emails and growing
Yeah.
your list. But as the business starts to grow and mature, like you have to understand the numbers. You have to understand what you're doing. Because if you don't, if you neglect that, you'll make these little mistakes where it can really put you under, put you behind, cost you a good hire, cost you, just a lot in the business. So having a system for tracking where you know how much I should be spending on certain things like advertisements, what should I actually be paying my coaches? Right? How should I be incentivizing them? What should I be spending on content creation? And then, kind of monitoring those things so you understand what the gross margin of the business is huge. Because I see a lot of coaches try to go really fast and they'll rack up all these things and all these subscriptions and all these people, who are taking a little bit here, a little bit here. And then at the end of the day, they're like, I take home like 20% of my revenue, 30% of my revenue. Like, where did it all go? And you've completely over leveraged yourself. So faster isn't always better.
Yeah.
Sometimes doing it slow and with a proper strategy is key. And that's where a lot of the upper level mastermind coaching comes in, is basically helping you plan your business for the next 2 to 3 years so that when you make $1 million, which you will if you stick it out for 2 to 3 years, you keep 70-60% of that instead of keeping 30% of that. And that's a
Yeah.
huge difference. That's more than double the amount of money you would be making, and 2 to 3 years wasted into a structure that now doesn't work.
Okay. Next question. What we got?
All right, next question. Do I need to worry about emails?
That's a great question. I'm gonna let you go first on that one.
All right. I would say another one of these ones, it depends. I think the minute you start getting close to six figures, when you're looking at hitting 8,300 per month, six-figure run rates, 8,333. The minute you start getting close to that, you want to start worrying about emails, about collecting people's information and creating a list. Because what's going to allow you to seamlessly scale from six figures to seven figures is leveraging the ability to nurture people. Just like in coaching, you do one-to-one, you can only do one-to-one for so long. You have to do one-to-many. Same thing with the way you're DMing people. If you think of email as being able to do one-on-one DMing as one-to-many, you're essentially setting yourself up to have a list of people that you can DM the same thing all at once to drive them somewhere. And I've worked in businesses where over like a 10-year period, that list has gotten up to like 300, 400,000 people. And the power in that is you can send out one email to a list like that that's even semi-warm, and you can collect $30,000 to $40,000 in a day on a $7 to $49 product. And so if you're really thinking ahead, the minute you start making some money and you want to start growing the business to a lot of money, these things aren't fun or flashy, but 5 years down the road, you will thank yourself for really pushing hard to collect emails, because that will be the backbone of your entire business. You won't care about Instagram. You won't be as viral as you used to be. All the clout will really have dried up. You'll be just another business where you do some posts and it gets okay reach, but not insane. And people will be like, well, how do you make all your money? It'll be from email. So I think email is extremely important to start building the minute you start getting past that initial 5 to 10K.
So I'm a big fan of gathering emails. I don't know that I'm a massive fan of like putting all my eggs in the thinking that emails are going to make me a ton of money. See, I view emails as being another touch point. It's nothing different than a post that you made on YouTube or Instagram, because at this point, emails are really just trying to like make a statement. Too many people at this point are doing marketing back like it was in like 2000, realistically 2018, to where you would respond back to emails. But realistically, that's no longer the case. Everybody that gets emails now, your objective is to what? Get through as many of them as possible and make it empty so that you can go to the next email that you have. We don't work like that via text message or DMs, because those are intimate conversations. And so there's a culture's kind of changed around emails. So I think they're really great to like make notice. But at the same time, I don't think that they're going to be there unless you've trained the people to do that. And e-commerce and high ticket are different. Let's be very clear. You're not going to sell somebody a $500 an email, but it is a great way to build a relationship and add value so that when that time comes and they are ready, they're ready to click that email. That's how I view it. Next question.
All right. So after the emails, we're talking, should I run a free challenge? I got this one a lot this year, especially towards end of year.
I'll let you go first on this one. I have my opinion.
Yeah, there are some benefits to it, but I really am, unless you have a massive, like if you're like an influencer and you've got a ton of people and you can really easily get a bunch of people into something, where you could warm them up a little bit more towards the idea of buying something from you. Like if you got 200,000 audience and they're not used to you selling things, if you do a free challenge that then inevitably leads towards a buying opportunity, that's the one way where I see this warming up. If you got 1,000 followers and someone's telling you to run like a 14-day challenge and this is how you're going to get all your first leads in, you're just wasting all of your time. Like, in my opinion, I think you're wasting all of your time. Like, buyers are going to buy and lookers are going to look. And if you spend 14 days and you spend all your energy creating this challenge around that just to find out that none of them are going to buy in the first place, then you feel really dejected and you wasted all that energy. So I'm a big fan in the beginning, if you're just starting out, of going direct, right? Just very direct, very blunt, trying to talk to people, figure out their goals or pain points, and then telling them, hey, I've got something I think can help you with that. Let's talk. Let's hop on a call together. And then on the farther end of the spectrum, when you really have a massive community, I think it's an amazing nurture sequence that you can run quarterly, right? I like to switch between every quarter doing a challenge and then a scholarship, right? Challenge funnel, scholarship funnel, challenge funnel, scholarship funnel, and that kind of bookends your year. But I'm interested to hear what you say.
Yeah. So our company started on the foundation of building challenges for people, but paid challenges, right? So my wife actually is about to launch hers, Paula, and I want to say that she's got been promoting it like 4 or 5 days, and she's got a waiting list. So it's not always about the product you sell; it's about how you sell it and the information and data that you gather along the way. So, for example, hey, you want to be interested in joining my wait list to join the challenge where I'm going to pick one winner that's going to win in 30 days, $2,500 winner. I'm interested. Yeah. Name, number, email. You just became a lead. I don't have to sell you the challenge. I can sell you whatever at this point, but we're leaning towards going towards the challenge, right? So what you're able to do then is then have somebody buy into wanting to buy the challenge. And then now that they are a buyer, they're more likely to adhere to the program, right? We talked about this.
Yeah.
Then it allows them to start to see great results. Typically, people that start challenges are starting their journey, right? Which is where they're going to see the most results. Because if I've been in the gym 6 years, a challenge is really going to do much for me, right?
Yep.
But if I've been in the gym in 6 years and I'm new, then I'm going to see great results really fast. And you might lose 5-10 pounds in the first month, maybe more, depending on how strict they can stick to it. But realistically, they're going to see great results, which then turns into a, hey, 2 to 3 week in the middle of the challenge conversation to where, hey, let's get on a call. And then I want to upsell all those people. So she's going to try to run a challenge, and I don't know how many she's going to get this go around. We're going to pump some ads behind it, and we're going to see. But in the past, she's done challenges to like $200 or excuse me, $100, $150 for a 4 or 6 week challenge and gotten between 150 to 239 people. And it's like, that's a lot of cash, not normal. But she was able to convert 39% of every single lead that she'd gotten, which is going to be double of probably the best coach that I've worked with, right? I don't know how she does it, but we do sell all the selling via text message and not just relying on like, hey, you want to join the challenge? Just click the link in my bio and go immediately purchase. That's an e-commerce product. Expect that to have a 3% conversion rate. Okay. Those suck. Don't do that. Don't sell that way. Don't try to sell your service as it's a product. It's a service. Okay. You're just delivering it as a product. So you want to sell basically via text message. And truthfully, like if you're just starting out, I want you to sell that challenge over the phone. Why? You need practice. You need to practice selling. I don't care if it's $100, sell it over the phone so you can have those conversations with people, build those relationships. Because just because you started coaching doesn't mean people are going to be like, take my money. Actually, they're going to have all the red flags of like, why now? Why should I trust you? What makes you think you can be a great coach? because I've been following you for 10 years and this just came out of nowhere. I thought you were a bank teller who just went to the gym. So build those relationships and put the value into the people that way. I think I'll find a lot of value. But for me, 30-day paid challenge, and the bigger ticket here, give money away. The objective in a challenge for me is not actually to make any money. It's to convert those people into one-on-one coaches. And so if you can get 10 people for a challenge at $100 and you go, I'm going to give away $1,000, you give away the $1,000, but now you have 10 opportunities to sell somebody something bigger that's already getting a taste of what you're doing. And so that's how I really see it, in my opinion, on how I would do it. Most people are like, well, I don't want to spend the money, I'm afraid. It's like, but you're going to go drop 500 in ads this month and waste it.
Yeah.
Why not give it to somebody and try to really nurture a relationship?
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with you on that. I think that if you do it that way, you're adhering to that same idea, right? See who will actually swipe their credit card. It's almost like a low ticket funnel into an ascension model. But would you ever do free? Because I know that's a big thing that gets pushed in our industry, is run a free challenge. And I think there's a huge discrepancy between
I think if I'm going to do
paid.
anything free, it's short term, right?
Yeah.
It's just for somebody to get a taste of something, but the whole point is to then start conversation and try to immediately upsell, right? Because like I know some other business coaches that do a challenge that's like shorter, and I'm all for it, but I'm not going to run this like 30-day free challenge. Like no one's going to adhere spending $37 a month. Really not going to adhere even spending $100 a month. Why would they change their life and change all their habits for free? Like they're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So you need to get somebody in, but the whole point of the 5-day challenge is just to gather the data, or the 3-day challenge, or the 2-week. 2 weeks even too long for me.
Yeah.
I need you to get through like a good 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 days so that I can then be like, look how great you're doing. Let's jump onto that. 66% of people quit a challenge by week 3.
Jeez.
And if that's the case, because that's where the habit comes in, right? Then why would I want to continue to run something longer remember who I said, again, remember your person. Somebody that does a challenge is new. They're not somebody that's been in the gym for 6 years. And so if we're doing a challenge for somebody that's new, we need them to win, because their entire, let's say, adulthood, they've been yo-yoing and constantly losing. And so if you're the one that can help them finally complete a challenge, oh my God, like Mike, like, dude, you're the best coach I've ever had. I've never actually been able to complete anything. Why did they complete it? Because you called them at week 2, had a great conversation, and motivated them to finish out the next 2. And then you're the hero when all you were trying to do was be the guide. And so you now bought that relationship with your time. And now that person's willing to then upsell and continue on.
Yeah, I like that. I think that if you were going to do a free challenge, 2 to 3 day, 5 day, and then anything beyond that, like you said, it's
diminishing returns.
For diminishing returns. So let's say I'm a coach. I'm making a couple $1,000s per month now. What softwares do I need? Because that's the big question I've gotten going into 2025 is like, I'm doing okay now. Like, this is actually a thing. What softwares do I have to have? And what's kind of like a wish list thing?
Yeah. So I would think in my mind, let's say we're doing north of 5K. You want to start to build some type of strategy, because at this point you want to start to get into the ad side. But again, you got to have a funnel first before you get into the ad side. You got to make it work organically. Obviously, this is what we put into play is AR funnel, right? Automated lead systems. But you want a CRM of some degree. You want to be gathering information. This is not gathering information through application.
Yeah.
An application, all right, and I always like to use this example, is that when I was helping my dad get an apartment, we didn't apply before he went and looked at them, right?
Yeah.
I went to the area. I checked the place out. I decided to take a tour, see if I liked it. Then I apply, because no one's going to apply until they're ready to buy. The difference between the two is that I'm only trying to figure out through the application, how much do you cost? So, which also leads me to another great point, is never post your pricing. I think you can agree with that.
Yeah.
So never post your pricing, but people that apply are bold, brave, and ready to take action. That's not a lead form. That's you playing McDonald's and just taking orders. Okay. Which is why you have such a high close rate on applications as a coach, because they're just looking how much is it and then ready to purchase. They're already bought in and trusted because, again, go back to the apartment complex, they're ready to purchase. They're on board. This is just the process that you have in place. So you want people to learn from you instead of applying from you. So that way you can actually have a bigger and broader net. And if you don't believe me, look at every single business coach that's trying to sell you something, right? I mean, me and Will in the same boat. I'm going to give you something for free. Why? So I can get your name, number, and email so that I can continue to provide value. And you go, damn, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. Which is why, like, we're having this conversation here now to provide value, to build trust so that you'll want to then potentially work with us in some shape, form, or facet. But if not, worst case, we get a like and a share out of it because we're trying to help. I'm not trying to sell you. Selling's easy after the help has been done. And that's where a lot of people fail to realize. So another software I would say is, like, I like Riverside a lot. I think it's a great software. I think Loom is an amazing software as well to help your automations and helping your business grow. But calendar system, text message, those are really important. Email would be another one, third. But first thing is, like, I'm trying to gather data, name, number, and email. So I need a form of some degree to provide value. And then if you can automate that process, this is what we do, to where you can go from form, gathering data, to starting conversation. Speed the leads is the name of the game. It's a 40% increase in person actually working with you if you can get with them in the next 5 minutes. So, like, that's a big deal. Filling out an application and then, like, getting back to them in 12 hours. It's like, man, I wanted to lose weight when I walked past the mirror. And I changed my mind when I walked past the pantry. And so you got to know your buyer, and knowing that fitness is an impulse purchase. And so speed on these things, whatever software you're using, is going to be helpful. And then other softwares just help automate processes or AIs that helping you create content, CapCut, Captions app, those type of things. ChatGPT is obviously another big one as well. But don't get caught in doing all the things and not focusing on how to use those things to get you more leads. Don't automate everything always about, like, how do I manage my clients? You need to use those things to get you more clients. That's the big ticket for me.
Yeah, I always look at it through the lens of, we call them IGAs at Full Time Income Generating Activities, which is like, are you doing an income generating activity, or is this like more of a fluffy brand, like fun thing? Because a lot of times people shy away from the tough stuff because there's like rejection, or it's people facing, and they'll do the fluffier stuff. And so if you're like, I just got this thing set up and I need softwares to help, I think the most important thing, like you said, speed to lead is the most important. And I think dopamine scrolling, or, the doom scrolling dopamine fix has like killed the attention span. If I see something and I want to learn more about it, I should be able to click on it. I should be able to learn more about it right away. And then I should be able to do something with that. Like, I should be able to take a next step. And so I think the most important thing that I would tell all my coaches going into 2025 is have some ability to automate your responses to at least like a one pager that can link to a calendar, right? Something where you can use ManyChat or GHL, which is, use AR to immediately give someone a response automated, where it's like, hey, like, I've created this guide for, hitting your protein while you're on the road. If you want access to it, or, you're doing recipes, right? If you want access to all my recipes, my book's literally free. Just comment guide down below and we'll send it to you. If they get it right away, or there's a little opt-in where it's like, hey, name, phone number, email, we'll shoot it over to you. You collect it right away. And then the book also gives them all the value. And then immediately is like, by the way, if you ever wanted a free nutrition consult, like, here's where you can book in for one of these. That right there is all the software you need. You can fill in all the other stuff around it to make the system more efficient, but a way to get your value in front of more people in return for their data is like the most important use of software in 2025.
No, I agree with that. I think that's huge. I think a lot of times also people are talking about these CTAs, right? Too many times people think that CTA means sell something. No. CTA's entire point is to generate a lead. Stop trying to sell, just try to help. Whenever you make a post, ask yourself, is this trying to help somebody? Or is this trying to sell somebody? And if you have to think about that, then you're making the wrong post.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I was gonna say, I self-audit myself on like what I opt into. And I don't think I opted into a single like paid thing in 2024. I think everything I opted into was like, oh, that looks super helpful. I totally want that software, or I totally want that list.
Mhm.
Um, so if that's how you tend to buy, your ideal client's probably gonna buy that way too, or opt into things that way. Um,
There's a great. I talked about this too today. I thought this was great. Look at it like this. Ask yourself, when's the last time you clicked on something and were like, yeah, that's what I want. Let me just immediately book a call. Never. So why is somebody gonna do that? Like, listen, like I know you're great. Okay. But that's in God's eyes. That's not in the public's eyes. So no one's just gonna be like, ad, cold traffic, never seen that guy. Man, Mike, you're my dude. Take my credit card right now. It's like that doesn't work like that. So if that doesn't work for you, why do you think it's gonna work for them? It's not.
Yeah, it's a massive mindset shift, and it's like you have to drop your entitlement. If everyone else is playing the game by a certain set of rules, and you think you're entitled to get a different outcome, I hate to break it
Yeah.
to you, you think you're a special snowflake, and that's never going to get you anywhere in entrepreneurship. Until you learn to earn your stripes, look at how the best are doing it, and don't think you're any smarter or better than them, but instead emulate them and try to do what they're doing and do it better. That's how you start to work your way up the rank. But thinking that you're just going to be somehow magically better at something without doing the proven steps, it's just being crazy. You're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Another big question is how often should I be posting?
I always say, and Baker says this too, is whatever's consistent. Now, ideally for me, one time a week one time a day on Instagram, 6 to 10 times on your story. You could take one day off on your story, but realistically, I want to try to see it every day. And then if you can do it on Instagram, that means you should probably be able to post on Facebook the same thing and TikTok the same thing. Worst case, you got the same video going on 3 different platforms. You want to get crazy? Put it on YouTube Shorts too. But you're gonna have one always usually perform better than the other. But for me, it's about being consistent. Now, if you're running ads, you could do it one of two ways. You could post less or you could post more. It kind of just depends. One of the biggest marketers I know right now, he posts 5 times a day on Instagram. Volume. When you're spending $100,000 a month on ads, I need you to see 7 different posts from me today so that you're really bought in so that you book a call. It's a big difference. If you're not running any money on ads, you still, in my opinion, need to post once a day because you have no other way of getting in front of that person. And so the only way you're going to sell it is people know it is what you do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I tried last year doing the ad push and then less posting, and it works. You can make a ton of money doing that, but it leads to other issues. And so now this year we're shooting 3 times a day for every day, and we're staying a month ahead on content. And I just don't think there's anything wrong with putting more out there. Like, I really don't. I think a lot of people are way too perfectionist in the mindset, like, oh, it has to be perfect. Like, no one remembers. Ask someone to name one of the posts you made this week. They're not going to know. And so it's like, so if you made 3 more every single day, do you think they know any of those? No, but the odds of one of them having $100,000 pop or 100,000 view pop off way higher. So I think it's one of these things where you get out of it more the more you put in. And I think a lot of people make excuses as why they don't want to put in more. But in reality, if you can be consistent, do it. And I think that was the key, like you said. I believe that these algorithms have a bit of a credit score to them where, they make money based on 2 things: watch time, viewer sessions, and session duration. And so if your content increases viewer sessions, especially if your stuff gets shared or saved, it means that people are going to come back. So it'll open up another session, or they share it with someone that pulls them onto the app, opens another session, that gets rewarded. And then if the session duration goes up, so if you have people who they watch your stuff and then they come and they watch more of it on your page and you're increasing the time they're on the app, that allows Instagram, any of these platforms, to charge more for their ads. They'll have more ad slots that they can charge more for because it means they have more eyes watching for more time. And that's all they care about. So at the end of the day, knowing that if you can post consistently, it tells Instagram we can trust this person to put out content. And then if the content's good, it will tell them we can trust this person to put out content that keeps people on the platform. And if you get shares and saves, or if people come back to your page and they binge your whole page, it increases viewer sessions. That's like the maximum. And that's why these meme accounts will blow up, right? They're engaging. People send them and share them to their friends. And then if you're bored, you'll be like, oh, funny cat videos. You'll click on the page and you'll just scroll through the whole page. That blows up because it hits all the metrics that IG wants. So if you know how they play the game, you can play the game the same way to win, which is basically give them as many watch sessions and as much watch time as possible, and know that they're looking at you and they're giving you a credit score. And so if you're going to do it consistently with an aim to increase those metrics. And that's how you scratch their back, they'll scratch yours with more reach.
Yeah, there's so many ways also utilize like something like Paul and I are doing for her business. She just made, if you guys want to check it out, you can. You can just go over to her Instagram handle after this. But basically, we made a post and it's a graphic, and the entire waiting list for the challenge. It's like, go comment that you're on the waiting list. It's like 40 comments that are on the waiting list. It's like just social proof. What am I going to do with that? I'm going to put some retargeting money behind it and boost it.
Yeah.
Right? Like just little things like that. But it's like, how can you use your emails to drive traffic to your Instagram to create something? How can you get your clients to go comment and leave these like reviews, right? Like, I'll save that for the event. That's a good idea. I was about to save. I'll save that one. All right, what's next? If you didn't know, Will, myself, Zach Colburn, Higher Wellness, Michael Smoke, Maureen Evelyn, Stephen Mellor, Jared Hamilton, Matt Wade, Paula Tornello, man, hoping not leaving anybody out. All speaking here in Dallas, AR Funnel, January 17th and 18th. Come in on the 16th, leave on the 19th. You can grab tickets. Links are in my bio on my Instagram. It's going to be an awesome event. Can't wait.
I can't wait. You're holding out some of the stuff, huh? You're going to keep them waiting for a couple
I am.
This was
a good one. This was a good one.
All right. Next question then that I had, which was a big one, is what do you do for reviews and referrals and testimonials?
Great. So what I like to do is realize there's two ways to get referrals. The first one is immediately on a sale. You can ask, is there anybody else that you know that would also want to achieve this with you or like you? And the other one would be whenever there's a big win inside that person's journey. So for example, let's say their first milestone that you hit is 10 pounds. Let me back up. You always got to set milestones for your clients to hit so you have something to work towards. If their goal is 50 pounds, don't make it to where, okay, your goal is 50 pounds. Like, no, the first milestone is this. The first milestone is that 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever. First milestone, they're going to have a win. They're going to have a high. And then from there, that's when you essentially would ask if there's anybody else. But also, too, it's really important to ask for the testimonial, just like not always after the ask for the referral. Referral comes after testimony. Ask the testimony first. But the way you do that is you have to guide the person into telling you what you want them to say. You're the marketer. They're not. So if you say, hey, you care to make a video about your experience so far? They're going to be like, yeah, sure. Oh, by the way, this person's an accountant who doesn't run a social media and doesn't know how to speak on camera. Yeah, so it's been really good. Sarah's been awesome. And I lost 15 pounds. Wait, was it 17? That's what you're going to get, right? And so the best way to do it is to lead with the questions and answers. So you lost 17 pounds in the first 6 weeks working with me. What was your favorite part? And like, how do you feel? I feel amazing. I feel like top of the world. I have so much energy, right? If they said that they love, how they've been more playful with their kids, be like, so your mom of 3, you lost 15 pounds in the last 90 days, so much more energy. What are you doing with that energy? It's like, I'm just teeing you up that you can just knock it out of the park, right? And if they don't give the right answer, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to circle back and ask a different question, trying to get the same answer. So how often are you playing with your kids now after losing the 17 pounds in the last 90 days? Oh man, me and the kids do. We play every day together. I used to be like stuck on the couch with knee pain, but now, dude, like I'm loving it. It's awesome. You see how like you could just ask that question, you get the answer that you want, right? There's one thing that we're going to start implementing, right? This is full transparency. We're going to be asking all of our clients, what was the number one hesitation before getting started with AR? And what's been your biggest win since joining? And what am I going to do with that? I'm going to post it on our pre-sales call video page. What are you going to do with that? I'm going to divide them by coaches that are doing less than 10 grand and over 10 grand. And based on the type of coach, I'm going to market it down. What are you going to do with that? And then I'm going to continue to divide it down. If you're a man that's doing over 10K, this is the videos you're going to receive. If you're a woman over 10K, these are the videos you're going to receive. And you can do these same things in your business. You just have to think bigger. But think about, what are you going to do with the testimonial? And then you'll know what questions to ask when you get the testimonial. Because the video is useless if it has no purpose. Right? So think about what you're going to do with it, and then you can devise a plan on how to create it. Those are my opinions.
You got me all hyped, man. I was like, I want to go build a funnel now after.
It's good, right? That's good.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't agree. So we call them activation points, which I think is I credit that to Cole Gordon. I learned that in his mastermind, but they're really big on like you need to have a client roadmap. So it can't just be you're working with me for 6 months. It's over the next 6 months. This is your success journey. And these are the activation points along the way. And then, like you said, tying these in a kind of scaling way to each activation point. Like, oh, you hit activation point 1, whatever that is. Let's talk about a review. How, give us a little review of the program. And then, oh, if you're really loving it, could you do a Google review for us? Right. And then after that, getting into bumping the referral program, bumping the testimonial program, and then always tying it back to an incentive for them. But those things won't happen if you're a lazy coach and you're just dumping people into a container. If you have a program with a roadmap, with a system that has milestones, activation points built out, and you've actually thought through and mapped this out for your customer, it's that much easier for you to then plug in the incentives for you back into that. But if you dump people into a container and then want them to do more for you, don't be surprised when there's not as much reciprocity there. But if you're really intentional with your fulfillment and you make that customer journey amazing, people will go above and beyond for you. I know a lot of our coaches who get to around 30K per month, their business grows without any new client acquisition. Zero ad spend, zero organic posting. Their business will grow simply from the re-signs and the referral rate outpacing the churn. And that's the power of growing a really strong business, is it's not always focusing on cost to acquire a customer. You can build a business so well with such good systems that it will start growing itself. It'll become its own living, breathing entity. And just through word of mouth, just through the client experience, it can grow. And that kind of leads into my last question, which is, you're a lead guy, so you might be a little biased on this, but what do you feel is more important, cost to acquire a customer or client lifetime value?
Lifetime value.
Yeah. Why?
Retention. Because you can't outrun a leaky bucket. For example, if you got 100 new clients a month, but you lost 100 new clients a month, you're doing a shit ton of work for nothing.
Yeah.
I would rather slowly build, which is why I'm a fan of the recurring business model, right? Because for me, it's about the retention aspect. And so typically what happens is your retention is going to, it's like every business without getting new people is always dying, right? If you did all PIFs, it's dead as soon as the month's over, right? Literally, it's dead until you can resell those people. But so it's dead for at least the next 6 or 12 months. And then whenever you do a reoccurrings, it's the lifetime value of that customer and the term length. So let's say the average person pays you $300 a month for, let's say, 6 months. So that's $1,800, right? If that's the lifetime value, then when that person signs up for 300, the average person's going to pay you that 1,800. So you're going to lose them in 6 months. The faster those people drop, the more people you need to make up the difference. And so for me, I'm always about lifetime value because it's a lot cheaper to keep a customer than is acquire a new one. And if I never had to sell somebody again, that means I never have to spend the money on the ads, or I don't have to spend as much money on the ads to grow. And I want this compounding interest to happen and apply. Okay. So, for example, I'll just, again, full transparency, my company, like we had a churn rate last year, year one, as we're still like figuring things out, right? Just like a lot of coaches figuring it out, it was like a 21%. This year, the average is a 9. And then now the past, I think, 90 days has been like 7, which is a really great number. We're shooting for 5. Like that's our goal, 5% churn, which means that at 100 clients, if I brought in 10 new people a month, I'm losing 5. And the next month, I'm losing 6. And the next month, I'm losing 7 as I continue to get 10 every month. Eventually, you're going to get to where you have a math problem. 10 new people come in at the same time, you're losing 10 every month. And now you have a different issue. Most fitness coaches are never going to reach that level of math problems because it takes a well-oiled machine to get to where those are essentially are equating, because that's a lot of volume coming in, but that's a SaaS company. That's what we do. But if you can have somebody pay you more money long-term, you will become a lot more wealthy than collecting it all out of these like really bright stars constantly. And then you're just constantly losing them because you're not taking into account acquisition cost. Acquisition cost isn't just ads. Acquisition cost is your time of the closer, you closing it, onboarding, building the new custom program, setting everything up, all the hustle and bustle, asking or answering the question, can I eat ketchup 17 freaking times? Like all the little things that eat up your time is the cost of that acquisition, which is why if you can keep the client long term, when now it takes you 30 minutes to fulfill a $300 product, that's the goal. Keep that person, right? So I'm big on retention, man. Lifetime value.
Yeah, I mean, my answer is the same. I'm not going to give too much more because that's literally what I'm going to be talking on at the summit. So I'm going to save all the nuggets
Great.
for that one. But
That's good because I've got a lot.
yeah,
The awesome new book I've been reading, and I'm just like, this is all great. This is good.
what would you say? I'm going to kind of lead the witness here, but what would you say to coaches who counter that CLTV argument with, oh, but none of my customers ever complete their payments?
So a lot of people ain't gonna like this, but I find that usually a client quits because the coach is not up to par.
Yeah.
Because a really great coach is actually just a really great teacher, and a really great teacher gets you to hear and listen and learn. Just because you know knowledge doesn't mean you're a great coach. That means you're a great professor. Professors don't care if you fail or pass. A teacher needs you to get to the next level. They need you to graduate. They need you to understand and comprehend. And when you can do that, the person will adhere to the program and they will want to continue to pay you. Typically, it's because you're not giving them attention needed and overvaluing the knowledge when really they're trying to pay for proximity and you're not giving it to them. So either you're charging too much and not giving enough proximity and they don't feel the value is there, so they're not going to keep paying it. Or you're really great at selling and you oversold and they don't find the value. I'm not even a big fan of contracts because 2 ways. One, if you truly can't afford it, I don't want your money. And then two, it's typically because the coach is lacking something that they're not fulfilling that the person needs. And again, not everybody is like perfect for a program, but you should be able to help them complete it. And if they just don't, then I don't want you in my business anyway, because you're just going to create bad word of mouth. And one bad person talking about you is equivalent to 10 people talking good about you. So to me, it's not worth it. Like, you can't pay me enough amount of money to ruin my reputation.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really important for me there on the contract side.
Yeah.
But that would be my response and caveat, is that I don't think you're doing a good enough job coaching if that becomes your complaint.
Yeah.
Here's another piece, though, that a lot of people have to really consider and think about, right? And I know everybody agrees with that, but that's just me. There's always going to be a percentage of refunds and cancellations. You're not going to run a perfect business. And the problem is that as you grow, you think actually like there's just people just won't pay. And it's like, what is it, 1%? And it just keeps growing because you have many, many, many clients. So if 3% of your people didn't want to complete the program, then like, yeah, that's going to be like probably like one a month. That's business. Like, you know how many coffee bags I had to refund? We did 238,000 orders. I have to expect a percentage of people not to want my product. And the problem is that we think in volume of like, well, it was 10 people this month. I suck. These people are trash. And it's like, no, that's 1% of your business, because your business is so big now. Like, Amazon probably gets like 10,000 refunds a day. So it's just a volume game. So just understand, people don't suck. You might not suck. Just expect to have a percentage of dissatisfied customers. That's business. Your job is to try to fix it. Your job is not to make everybody happy. You can't. So let that go. Don't let that keep you up at night.
That's I think a lot of people need to hear that one, because it messes with people's head. They'll fixate on the one and not focus on the 50 happy customers who are loving it. And then you look at the grievance from the one customer, and it's, oh, I didn't do any of the work and I didn't come to any of the calls and I got none of the results. So this is obviously your fault, not mine. And if you can
Right.
pull yourself back and look at it for the 30,000 foot view, you're like, oh, okay, just a bad fit. And here's your money back. Yeah, that's I think that was the 10 questions
That's all we got.
that we had. So I mean, I
All
appreciate
right. Well,
the
dude, man, I'm
sage
going to be
knowledge.
ripping for an hour now. It's been
Yeah.
great. Anybody in the Zoom got any questions before we wrap it up? All right.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, dude, man, Will, I appreciate you, man. I will see you in a few weeks. Not even a few weeks.
Yeah, a couple days.
A few days. And yeah, man, looking forward to it, dude. Looking forward to your presentation as well.
Yeah, me as well, man. I can't wait to come out there, get a lift with everybody, and spend time with like some of the best in the industry, just talking game.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you, buddy.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Mike. That was awesome.